continue on, you know, well, drugs might have something to do with their murders. I mean, someone that is a drug user might have committed the crime. They might have had to be high on drugs or drunk, and we think that Richard Allen was probably drunk. But, you know, there's theories that, they saw people dropping, waste from the meth labs into the creek, and so they had to be killed. Oh, they saw people cooking meth under the bridge, so they had to be killed. Really? Yeah, where are all those secondary and tertiary crime scene, cordoned off areas where police certainly would have found evidence of that and would have inspected it? There would have been tape all over the place. Okay, but no, there was tape in one place, and that is the place where Abby's and Libby's bodies were found, where their blood was let. Okay, and that's that. Okay, so drug and angle, social media. Ta-da. What else? Okay, so further to what I was saying before, that Libby was tricked by Kelsey, pretending to be a boy, and was having fun with that with one of her friends. I mean, there's no evidence of that. Again, that's gossip. There's, the gossip that Libby was pregnant and was going to tell who it was, and there's lots of gossip around who it was. There's actually no proof of that. People are saying that, and this is just, very little Joey Lewis, saying, Libby avoided Granddad when he was picking her up from sports. I mean, whether that's true or not. I mean, hey, maybe the teenage girl didn't want to go home when Granddad picked her up and wanted to hang out with her friends a bit more. Maybe this never happened, because people are saying all sorts of things to support their hate campaigns, okay? Look, anything is possible, okay? There very well might have been, there could have been abuse. There could have been impropriety. We don't know. Anything, there's so much that is possible, but people talking about things as gossip, that is as if it's fact, is just so ridiculous. Well, because it was showing me here, Yeoman, that it was dropped out and was just doing the whirling and saying, "I know reception," and kept saying, "Do you want to tap to try again?" and try and reconnect. So in the end, I just closed it. I don't know if you want to go to the comments section for me. Oh, thanks. And then maybe just suggest that they just, if they want to, they can just rewind and play in 2.0 until they're caught up in real time again. Not that I've said anything. They're saying that, I reckon Libby saw something when she was filing, and, filing that morning. So again, wasn't she previously already killed by the Paddies in your theories, right? Or by Kelsey or something? But Becky is saying that, she was helping do filing. Oh, so now, yeah, Libby probably saw something when she was filing, something to do with the Florifier house, and was going to reveal that. I mean, again, sure. But there's so much misunderstanding about that as well. There's so much gossip that just gets repeated about, how much that house was insured for and everything. Okay, well, I couldn't see chat and it was telling me that I was disconnected. It'll be interesting to see what you think was the last thing I said there then, because it feels like there's going to be a block cut out of it, but maybe not. So, yeah. Anything and everything that can suit their theory about being, family killing them and that sort of thing, and a big cabal and a huge cover-up. Every little straw that they can grasp at, they do. So, okay. Oh, and saying that, Abby was lured there and turned up on her own, when actually, wasn't it Anna that dropped them both the girls off from wherever they were earlier, right? So crazy. Now, then we get to, the snap. Yeah, well, that's not what it was doing from my end. It was, I couldn't see anything. The chat had disappeared. It was telling me, did I want to reconnect? It was telling me that I was disconnected. And, yeah. Oh, never mind. So then we come to the Snapchat and, the faked bridge guy video and images and everything. Okay, so whether you've got an Android or whether you've got an Apple device or something, it doesn't matter what device you're using. Yes, you can upload something to Snapchat or, send it out from your picture roll, from your camera roll, from your gallery, okay? So you can go to an image that has been made on your phone and you can upload it onto Snapchat. From what I understand though, when you open up Snap, to whether you're going to send a live image of you or whether you're going to select a pre-existing image and then add it, they would have had to, you're in the frame. You are in the frame and you have to move the phone so that you're out of the way of the image you've selected from your camera roll, from your gallery. So, just say I was going to Snapchat this, I want to make it look like I'm taking a photo of this tree now. When you bring that up in Snapchat, that's there, but you're there too, right? And then you have to angle your phone so you disappear, and it does change the way the image looks a little bit, right? But you can do it so that then you're uploading something from your camera roll, but you're not in it. But you have to angle the phone. Whomever this theory is that was sending a snap from Libby's phone at the time, the location, I don't know, surely, I don't know how the data worked at that time. They didn't have snap maps, I don't think, at that time, but surely technicians could search and find out if it was uploaded from at the actual bridge or not, and surely they can tell if it's uploaded from a camera roll. Even if that photo was, and now I'll delete that photo that I've set up on the phone. It's deleted, but it still can be recovered. And people just aren't making sense, okay, when they're trying to talk about the Snapchat and how it's fake. It's a fake photo, and it's set up so that it creates a fake timeline. Well, why are they trying to fake the timeline when the girls are going to be found somewhere and it can be discovered how long they've been there, what happened at the scene, etc., right? How does that make people think something different? What is the purpose? It seems quite risky, doesn't it? So there's people that are saying this is a photo. It was a photo recovered from the phone, and it's doctored. Well, number one, it could have a filter on it. It could have been taken with a filter, because it does appear that Libby's phone, she was working with a filter. Hi, Cement. Because the weird quality that the image of Abby has, that quality existed in original BG footage as well. And it was edited by law enforcement to make it look realistic, basically to try and remove that filter. So that those harsh lines, it was kind of like me having, say, something like this kind of filter on. And if you're trying to look at that in real life, and sort of determine, well, what did the clothes really look like? She wasn't in grey, i.e. he wasn't in trousers that have stripes. It's just this harsh lineation of light and dark and shadow and things and etching. It's kind of like an etched effect. And that was sort of taken off. Whoopsie doodles. That was sort of taken off so that people could get a much better idea of who they were actually looking for. And yeah. So for people that have come out to say, because they think they've got gravitas and they think, their word's worth more salt than other people's, they've come out to say, yeah, I had someone look at this and they said it was fake, so, or, photoshopped. So, yeah, it's always been my suspicion. Explain it. Explain it. Talk it all the way through. Talk it all the way through. Yeah. So they have the phone of Libby's. They have her device. You think they can't see, if someone's using the device first, created an image, maybe using the phone, created an image of Abby on the bridge, and then used it out of the gallery to upload, because it was sent via Snapchat to people and they took the screenshots. Did this esteemed, in his own mind, did he contact the people that cut or screenshotted that Snapchat and just talk to them, ask for the image? Did he look into how Snapchat works? Does he think through that law enforcement, the FBI, have looked at this phone? You think they can't tell that there's shenanigans like that? That, that a BG video wasn't recorded in real time? And maybe it was, but they can't tell that it was actors? Or, it was just someone setting up Richard Allen because he walked across the bridge, but it wasn't Abby and Libby? Well, Abby and Libby have been edited out. It's cropped out, and their voices are heard, and family have heard it. And they know, they have seen it. You haven't. The people that are talking about the Snapchat, they haven't. They make no explanation. They show that they're not understanding their technology. They're not even trying to explain it. I mean, I can't even explain it, but it's just an intuitive thing, isn't it? G'day, Jules. Hi, outside of the grid. Outside of the grid. So there's a couple of things going on with Delphi right now, which is that live that I just had to shut down, and this one I just am talking about a little bit, right? What do you think about the Lost documentary? People need to realize it is Hollywood, right? And she's a very slick producer. Yes, she's really good in front of the camera. She does some great interviews. I think people really enjoyed her sticking it to Tobe. But she didn't follow through with enough questions. It's like, well, I guess you've been around town long enough. You probably back in the day have seen firsthand a lot that went on. And do you think that maybe you are judging people by how they were 15 years ago, 14, 13 years ago, and it's hard to let that go, follow through. But yeah, but there's a part of the documentary where Hannah bravely does walk over the bridge, and there's some spectacular footage. They look to be actually there in a slightly different part of the season, right? When there's been more snow, when there's now been, rather than just coming into maybe this colder season, it's like there's been snow, and then there's the snow melt, and the creek is running much higher, much faster than it was in February 2017. And of course, it's much colder. The weather is much more extreme, but she needs to take that into account. But she very bravely walks over the bridge, and Mike Grasso, as it walks over. Also, they get some really stunning footage of her lying down on one of the lookouts, and they get to the other side. They're going down the hill, and they're saying, look, this is an opportunity to run away, so why not? Well, probably, did he have a gun? Yeah, he did. And then they're pondering how to go across this creek, and of course the creek is really running high and fast, which we can see it's entirely different conditions, quite different conditions anyway, to the day that we see the search footage and everything. But they're pondering about that, and then, okay, they decide they need to go over there, so they don't cross the river, I don't think, but they take their crew around and probably come down through the cemetery, and at what they consider as the site. But of course, as they, before they show the site and everything, she flashes to an image of the shoe tree, as if that's just captured there, and the shoe tree's at the site. This is a ruse, a trick. It's a production choice, or it's an editing choice. It's a storytelling choice, and that's going to confuse a lot of people, and they're going to think, see, shoes and drugs and things, and yeah, it's just confusing. That shoe tree is on the other side of Deer Creek, and it's down, I believe, further away along the, oh my God, private drive. Okay, but the editing shows it as if it's, as part of this, as she calls it, this sacred site. People like to call it hallowed ground and the sacred site and this sort of thing, right? So, you just, you're seeing Hollywood as well. And we don't know what's been redacted out of this, do we? And there could have been quite a lot that was edited out, that if the documentary is ever released properly, like on a network or something, there could be a whole lot that is actually in the documentary that we haven't seen. It's 44 minutes that we've seen. I guess that might make up to an hour of network time with adverts and that sort of thing, and running the credits and all of that. So I don't know, maybe that's how it was planned, as an hour-long special. And why wasn't it? I mean, maybe it was just not picked up by a network, and so she's dropped it. She's doing, she's pursuing true crime, but she's making a living. But of course now, no. The Paddies lawyered up and got it stopped. I mean, the Paddies happily talked to her, but maybe then they didn't want to be involved because she talked to Carrie. Well, Carrie didn't say anything nefarious, but she just said something very plain and simple that, yeah, she's been kept out of the loop on her own daughter's murder case by the Paddies and by law enforcement. So, if they think that, oh, that's a reason for lawyering up and stopping this from coming out, I mean, that's just so repulsive, so childish, just so humiliating to the people that speak like that, okay? I doubt that's the case. Hi, Brad Barfield. Fig said Lifetime didn't take it on that year. It's an official line. She was making it for MSM release. She was making it for a network release. That's why she would have made these things. Maybe, it's not said that she privately funded this, right? She seemed to have a very professional crew. I mean, is she trying to tell us that she spent $500,000 or $100,000 or even $50,000 of her own money making this? Producers do not do that. They don't use their own money. They get backers. That's what producers do. And yo, Johnny, have you watched the so-called Lost documentary, and have you seen a certain person's assertion about the Abby image and it being, the Snapchat? She's paid to make it, and it wasn't, it's maybe not her actual intellectual property. She is a presenter. She's a researcher. She's acting like a journalist. She has pitched something. She has said, I am this person. I've usually been making crime, and I'm very interested in crime, and I want to make a show about Delphi. And someone has decided, well, okay, yeah, we're going to allocate a budget. And however it's happened, she's working with Mike Grasso. Perhaps she has used him as a expert, someone to help her with research for the crime shows that she writes for. That's how it's happened. It hasn't been quashed, okay? I don't know why legally now it can be released. I mean, there's obviously no problem with it. If it's being released now, and maybe all options have been dropped or something, or maybe, I don't know, how would she get the rights to it? I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong, but it just sounds a bit weird. I mean, it's a nice watch, Johnny, but there's nothing new. There's no new theory, there's no new information, there's no new angle. It's just pretty to look at, and that's it. And it doesn't have relevance. And she does retrospectively, or she comes in at the end, and now she's got Ron Logan's paperwork, which she didn't have when she went to Delphi, and she's putting tickets on herself, saying, well, maybe that the questions that I've been asking, maybe this is going to push them toward taking a little bit of action. Oh, and then the 2019 press release has come out. Maybe this documentary should have just been a bit longer to make, and all of these things could have been involved and woven in at the right time, but clearly it wasn't. It was done, dusted, and then she's come in to add something. And I can't see that there's anything nefarious about this at all. But, it wouldn't be worth the money for the Paddies to try to repress it, right? Yeah, and then there's the Snapchat, the image of Abby on the bridge that's now just being, raked up again, right? And okay, sure. If you can explain technically how this was done, and then how it would look to the highly qualified, what have we got? We've got the cast teams of the FBI delving into the data of Laurie Vallow's burner phones and the iCloud. Please explain, Mr. Facts. Okay, give us the facts. How the data technicians, was it a cast team here as well, how they explain the data, the info that they found on these images and the video, and why they're keeping it all quiet or haven't done something about this, or why it's not. Just explain it, okay? Anyway, yeah, it's just bananas. So sure, yeah, you can fake upload to Snapchat, right? But how I've looked at it is, as I was just explaining, you've got the image from your gallery roll. So, okay, this image that you want to present to the world to pretend that Abby was on the bridge, right? Because, according to some people, because the evil sister is doing this. Okay, so you select that to send out, but you are in the frame. You then have to angle your own phone so that whatever the phone is really looking at in real time isn't in the image, taking you out or whatever, so that you're not just creating you and a background image, right? A new Snapchat. Not explaining this very well, but people looking into this data, people who have the phone, they can see it all. They could see creation of images and that sort of thing, right? Maybe, but this type of person just always acts. There's plenty of people that act on their own like this. They're lone wolves. This guy outside of his family, yeah, sure, he took part in activities, but his wife seemed to kind of be his best friend, his main friend, and went everywhere with him. And you see him socializing, and he's not really socializing. He's there, and he's just quite quiet. And I think, there's a lot of, stuff out now. Oh, God, he's being so mistreated in prison. He's probably just so worried because he's wrongly accused that he's losing weight. Let me tell you, this guy was so booze fat. So booze fat, okay? He's out drinking with his wife 4 to 5 nights a week. I mean, she's probably lost weight as well because she's probably stopped that. He's just losing weight, and he's got a regular sized frame now. He was so bloated and so huge, and now he's got more of a regular sized frame. And he's a diminutive man. He's not a huge man, 5'6", 5'7", maybe 5'5", and he's slight. So he's not a big guy. And so when these guys get slim, they look tiny. Probably looks like a jockey, who knows? And that's just regular. That's just without the fat, the belly, right? So that's all that's happened, is he has stopped drinking alcohol and he's lost weight. He's probably healthier than when he was out. Brad says, and she was gone tending to Mom at the time of the murders. Who's that, Brad? Who was tending to Mom at about the time of the murders? Just missed something probably. I don't understand who Brad's talking about with Kathy. Are you talking about Richard Allen's wife? Is she Kathy? And so she wasn't around, so she wouldn't have known if he was around the home, or, you know, skiving off, going maybe to some trails, right? Opportunistically, on a day when, yeah, plenty of young people are going to be walking around on the trails because they're not at school, you know. So can you just uh, so yeah, when writing comments, maybe just say Kathy Allen. So Kathy, because I can't remember her name. It sounds familiar though. So Kathy's brother passed away, and so she went to take care of that and to be with her mother. And so she wasn't in Delphi at the time. And then she's probably come back, and maybe he has said, look, the thing about the PCA, okay, for Richard Allen is it only says 2017. It doesn't say, and on February the 15th, 2017, Richard Allen came forward and spoke to a conservation officer. And we know that, oh, is my thing going to go? We know there was only one as well, and we know his name, but it doesn't say conservation officer as well. Where is this information coming from? The murder sheet, isn't it? You know, they're just fame whores, okay? I can't respect the way they operate. I can't. Sorry, guys, if you like them, that's your prerogative. But, oh, I think they're slimy. You know, we had another very esteemed ex-cop in Delphi. Yes, in Delphi. Like Uncle Doozer or whatever from Frag Rock, going around the trails and everything, right when Richard Allen's house is being raided, right when Richard Allen is being interviewed, right when he's arrested. Yeah, just missed that one. Completely under their noses. Yeah, I don't know about that report. But, you know, it doesn't say in the PCA. But so, you know, people like to make things up around that, right? As if he came forward straight away. Look, he really might have, and that's spooky. I mean, I've let it be known here many times that what the police needed to be doing was just some good old gumshoe. Had they ever knocked on the Allen's door before, just knocking, canvassing the area around Delphi? I mean, especially just down southwest there on the fringes of this creek area, right? But, you know, it's the greater area of Delphi. People that live there say they have never had their door knocked on by law enforcement asking about this crime. Some people in Delphi don't know about this crime. You know, most people would now, but some don't. What's suspicious about his arrest, Brittany? Brittany, there's things that, of course, law enforcement keep to themselves, and they've done a great job doing it, okay? And family, when we say the family, I mean the Patties, and, you know, Kelsey German have said, you know, yeah, there are some things that they know that the public don't know, but they've been told, and that could very well be a bullet. Now, Brittany, they've got to bring this up in court when Richard Allen goes to court. Are they? So you're saying that they're going to fraudulently? I mean, now sure, the bullet could have been there and found there, but planted. Okay, but and sure, yeah, it could be staged, but sometimes people are saying things like, yeah, that bullet, that was never there. They never had a bullet. They've just run that through his gun later so that they can frame him. Well, they need to show in the original documents of the search of the scene what was found. They'll have photographs of, here is a little yellow tag and it's got number 16 on it, and it's 2 feet from Abby's prone body, and it's a bullet casing, and there will be a photograph of it, okay? Now, sure, was it placed at the time? Maybe. I mean, it is so pathetic. Maybe they weren't forthcoming about asking people about guns because they're thinking, oh, we can't give anything away. And, you know, they just needed to drive harder at following up who has what gun, who has what ammo, who is in the age range even, for God's sake, you know. They haven't knocked on everybody's doors. They have not done any gumshoe to the extent that they should have. They probably could have solved the crime. And it just seems to me that every time they're talking about the case, all they're doing is press, you know, saying, please call our tip line. And then when they're asked about it, all they say is, no, well, we are working so hard because we follow up every tip that comes into our tip line. I mean, but what else are you doing? It's like, that's secondary. That is just something that is secondary to investigating, working out what to do next, having a strategy, working methodically. Do you know what solves cases and what actually means that cases are not tried and convicted? Police work, good or bad. Police work that is shoddy. What lost report, Brittany? Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Is there a lost report? Do you mean the conservation officer report, which might not have been lost? How can it be lost if people came across it? Yeah, it's very odd. I 100% agree though, Brittany. Yeah, that whole, okay, someone has come forward that is fitting their description, saying that they're there. They're begging for this information. Yeah. Oh, they are. Yeah. I hope it doesn't turn out to be the case. I hope that, you know, we're blown away. But what it seems to me, Brittany, is that they got sidetracked by Anthony shots and all the other things going on around Indiana. And you know, they thought they were just putting together some big web. And, you know, it's just some schmo, some homicidal schmuck who has abducted these girls. Not kidnapped, Copfax, although he will say kidnapped because he clearly believes that, oh, they were taken from the scene, or, you know, they were taken and held somewhere from somewhere and then dumped, staged at the crime scene. But would have had to have been taken there alive, dude, the way you think about it, because their blood was shed at that scene. And, you know, dead bodies don't bleed like that, right? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows? But this is the thing. People, I mean, gosh, you know, it is tempting to want to talk about it. But the thing is that until it's in trial, I mean, look, we thought we knew a lot about Laurie Vallow and Chad Daybell, right? And now, whoa, man, the information that we're getting, you know, about the data that they had, it's, whoa. You know, we know 5%, and, you know, people like to think of themselves as investigators, and some people are good investigators. Doesn't mean they're good at analysing the evidence, that they're good at working out what a mitigating circumstance might be and what circumstantial evidence they should put weight on, and if it's meaningful or not. I mean, someone can actually look entirely guilty of a crime, can have been at a scene and have absolutely nothing to do with something, but maybe get convicted on circumstantial evidence. There's plenty of people getting convicted from testimony, you know, of other criminals or something, right? And they're put to death because people can't analyse the evidence, don't know what to discard. They've got a one-track mind. They've made up their mind, and they go at the detriment of all else that might come up into their periphery. And perhaps that's what's happened with Indiana, is that they just got so caught up in chasing down the CSAM ring, the network sharing and, you know, related to Anthony Shott's account. And they've just dropped so many balls. And here's this guy, he's right in town still working there. Are they not thinking as they go about their daily lives? Let's just think of all the men in town that we should be interviewing. Have we interviewed them? Now, maybe they did find this Richard Allen interview and think at the time it meant nothing, or maybe they were told, so I interviewed this, and this person, but nothing came of it. I mean, that's creepy to think. And meeting a conservation officer in town, does that sound like a formal interview to you or something? Or it doesn't sound right? Doesn't ring true. So I don't know if I believe the information we're getting. It's from a source that is not LE, and all we can believe so far is how it's written in the PCA in 2017. An officer. It could have been the officer that killed himself that year before he died. We don't know. It could have been a conservation officer, but why? And why would you just meet someone randomly on the street and have a very casual conversation? Why? It doesn't. And also, people say, he went forward and he said he was there and what he was wearing. Sorry, it's not written in the PCA like that. It's written that he says he was there from a time frame, at a certain time frame, 1 to 3 or something. And no, it doesn't say that he talked about his clothing. If he did, he should have been asked, well, you won't mind if we go and get that clothing. Because everyone working on the case, whether it's a conservation officer or not, should have been briefed about what they had seen on Libby's phone. And considering they had something on Libby's phone, they should have been very procedural and just run with such stringent and, well, just with such a high degree of management and supervision, right? And that hasn't happened. There's so many people involved right from the start with the FBI and, ISP and Carroll County, and that's how they've fucked up. And, I think a head should roll, and I think Carter should lose his job, because is he essentially the person that was in charge of the procedural? I mean, he's not someone who actively works cases. He's a figurehead. He's a facilitator. But who at the end of the day was in charge? They should lose their job, because procedurally, management-wise, they've really failed. They had some very important information, and they had to really delicately work through the information and be very they had to be very observant. They had to, they couldn't just be blasé or just, casual and informal. It's pathetic that they were. But we don't know. We don't know when in 2017. But, if he had said about clothing, he should have been asked for it. It should have been handed over. They should have gone and got it immediately. And they'd found a bullet. Anyone coming forward, they should have asked to see everybody's guns. So, it is very weird. It was thoroughly missed somehow. People are going to say there's all sorts of reasons for it. But not to convict an innocent man, but, he has to prove innocence, and, he's going to have his guilt proven in court. But there's no strong evidence or anything to show that he couldn't have done it, didn't do it, was framed. I mean, he entirely fits the bill. Physically, psychologically, he's got so many markers, and we're told he was there. He hasn't come out in any of his statements saying, this isn't true that I came forward and said that I was there. I never said I was there. His lawyers haven't said that for him. He's not asking for that to be retracted and saying that he's hard done by. He's just saying that he's not, they're just trying to get the sympathy vote, saying, look at this poor guy. He's so thin and pathetic. It's just the way he's sitting, and he's lost all the alcohol weight. There could be someone in law enforcement that knows that he'd done it, that is sort of his friend, what do they gain by not solving a crime? And you have to have someone, I think they came up with the figure of 860 people being involved. Do you know how hard it is for people to keep things tight when there's two or three, when there's more than one person? It's pretty impossible to keep things thoroughly tight. And you would never just hang around and expect that nothing's going to happen of something because other people know, right? You'd be it's so risky. And thinking about the logistics of what people are saying happened, and the plotting and planning. Can you imagine the conversations on working this all out? I mean, this is Letitia Stalk, but split into a dozen people. Yeah. People that talk about, we go to Delphi, we're investigating and everything. When do we ever see anything that they've done come to fruition, or any outcome? It's all very secret and everything. Who knows what they're doing. When they prove that they are instrumental in making righteous arrests and righteous convictions, oh, that's good, medicine man. I mean, I don't know. It's just, obviously I haven't spoken about Delphi. Look, I've said so many nutso things, or at least just, about Delphi, and just talked through so many different angles and options, and, the aspects that people bring up. I go, okay, well, what would that look like? I'll talk about it. And I've made so many wrong foots with Delphi. It's very easy to do, and especially when you're still trying to learn how everything goes together. But really, even people that have a large knowledge on the case, they don't know everything. And a lot of people that really want to be involved, and they're out there looking for contacts and things, they get really sucked in. People lie to them all the time. They give them false evidence. They make things up. They're fraudulent, basically. And people put it, okay, Jules, people put things out there as if it's absolute truth, and that they've got the insider knowledge. It's nuts. So I'm just foreseeing that there's going to be a lot of BS. I mean, look, it is interesting why the police don't talk about Abby's image on the bridge, right? Well, there might be a lot of reasons for that. There could be a lot of photos that we haven't seen. So it's the early afternoon. I'll have to go somewhere soon. What time is it where you are, Brittany? You are in the US, aren't you? I think. I don't know. So anyway, so that's what these last two, the one that just was before this, that was about half an hour long. So I just start talking you through the so-called lost documentary. I mean, they can't suddenly, people say, oh, there was a gag order put on it. They don't just suddenly lift a gag order or something, to play it. Who knows? We don't quite I mean, it's great that he played it, but ask him a lot of questions and he might go, oh, I don't know, to quite a lot of them. So I think he needs to inquire a little bit more to Hannah about, the situation. But I mean, look, if he's asked her directly, it seems that she's got the rights to it, so she owns it and she's agreed for it to be uploaded. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe she did fund it herself entirely. But then I still think, well, she'd be trying to recap money from it. She would still want to sell it, or I don't know. But maybe because she just wants to solve the crime, she said that this is what she wants to do for the rest of her life. Who knows? Some people do conflate facts with interpretation of cast as being facts as well, and that causes problem. Interpretation of facts with the interpretation of facts. Or, yeah. Well, of course they do, and we've all got our own filters, but if you've got a preconceived notion about something, yeah, you're just going to discard evidence, or you're not going to be able to, you won't look at it and see the truth. You'll see what you want to see. So a certain someone has to explain how, what you mean fully about this image of Abby on the bridge. Okay, yeah, it looks weird. No, it wasn't made up from another photo of her. The angles are just so different. It's just a joke. And then, this figure was used to create BG as well. So this 43-second moving video was created using Abby's image. I mean, yeah. I mean, we know these images are manipulated and everything, but we don't know any further. We will find out a lot. Okay, we're going to find out a lot. People don't want Nick McClellan to have funding to be able to run a good case. It's like it's like if Richard Allen is guilty, they kind of don't want a good case to be able to be put up against him. They want everyone to be struggling for money and resources so that they can't get what they need to get a conviction of a guilty man if he's guilty. I mean, if Ben, is it Ben? Brad. If what Brad is saying, wife out of town. I mean, a lot of these men would just say in the course of their work, tell their wives, oh, I've got to go, I'll be busy, I'm on a project, or maybe when the wife leaves. I mean, this is common. That serial killers, that's when they kill. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, yeah, it's really weird about him coming forward in 2017 and nothing being done. That is a big fail, though. It doesn't mean that it's not the truth. It's a fail, okay? And there's been a lot of money spent. There's a lot of people employed. There's a lot of resources being taken away from other cases, solving other cases. I'm not saying that there's not corruption and that there's not failures and people just looking out for themselves and lining their own pockets and having their own little, their own reasons for operating a certain way, right? And, people, when they're in small places like this, they are the law, and each place has its own culture and way of operating, right? And sometimes that needs to be really shaken up. I mean, clearly Delphi City Council needs to be shaken up. They've got these people that have just sat on the boards too long, making decisions that are illegal and just doing whatever they want because they feel like they're just, it's like in any corporation, any company or organization when you've got, Janet that's been there for 30 years and entrenched and likes things done a certain way and everything. They are a disease in companies. They and can't get rid of them because it costs a lot to make them redundant. You need to wait for them to retire. But, they can be really denigrating to achieving things. They hate change, and that they just think that they think actually that they own the business sort of thing. And that's what happens in Delphi City Council. Of course, that video, the 43 seconds, and whatever else is on Libby's phone, we will see it. We will see it. It's like with Letitia Stalk's trial. She edited a video and sent it to, hi Molly, sent it to Albert, her husband at the time, and she'd edited it. And of course in court, we hear it all. We hear what she's actually taken out of it, of Gannon's speech, what he was saying. And we got a lot of information that we didn't realize that they would have. And of course they had it. Everything from vehicle GPS and, I think this guy hadn't even gotten rid of his car, right? His Ford, is it Ford Fiesta? And thanks, Jamin, for asking for people to hit the like. They probably have. I can see 13 people in here. I can see 11 likes. Wow, we're really cranking it today. YouTube will never YouTube will never promote me ever again. Don't you think it's quite strange how for a year and a half I've had exactly pretty much the same amount of subscribers? One would have thought they might have gone down by the hundreds or up by the hundreds over 18 months, but no, just 1,500 and something. That's all. Just the same couple of people signing up, this different couple of people just going bye-bye. I mean, that's great. I wish that everyone that wasn't interested in the content that I make these days, they could unsubscribe if they wanted. That would be fine. It's more authentic. But, yeah, it's bizarre. Someone that had that issue, was Better Call Tor. And so, a lot of people just end up opening up new channels and then just being a bit more careful with their content so that they can try and break through the algorithm again. I mean, the thing, I'd never break through the algorithm again. Not that I'm making anything groundbreaking. I swear and I talk about various things very openly, and, and I have people tutu fucking around with my channel at times, which is really just so revolting. Hello, Jules. It's probably getting late where you are. Anyway, so that was it anyway. I just talked about that documentary and about that Snapchat photo again of Abby, how people are talking about it like a photo and haven't explained. Oh no, I had an expert look at it. I mean, was this little Joe Lewis, the qualified graphic designer, or that other graphic designer that has solved the evil crime and knows everyone in the cabal but who's leading it, but several threads of theories, in the true village of the damned, who seem to not realize that there's evidence out there, first-hand testimony, that is always breaking down their theories. But anyway, they're very convincing, because we all know when you put like a cool soundtrack, tapping into, because you've got a certain age group looking at your videos, you play some psychedelic furs or something. So anyway, it's saying something went wrong, try again, tap to retry. Yeoman tried to tell me that I wasn't offline, so I don't know, it looks like I am. I can't get back my Wi-Fi, so but yeah, people need to. Now it's saying I'm back, but it's saying tap to retry still. That's frustrating. Yeah, I don't know. Am I here? Am I here? I'll see you guys later. I think you know all the gist of what I'm saying anyway. But yeah, so go to Fig Solves if you're listening to me here. Go to Fig Solves. Watch the... It's saying I'm live, but I don't think I am. I'm going to just close it down. But they go to Delphi. This was made a couple of years ago, maybe in 2019, before the press release. The big one. The one that... yeah. They just keep making these idiotic announcements that confuse people and they don't help the case. But maybe it'll all come out in the wash, in the trial. There's the possums.